Dollar Theater, a movie palace located at 307 South Broadway, was built by SID GRAUMAN and opened in 1918.
This is the Broadway Palace. Was the Broadway Palace. See, the sign is still here. It seated 2,200 capacity. It was an Orpheum vaudeville theater from 1911 to 1926. Structured by Albert Lansford, based on the early Renaissance Palazzo. Now it's a Grand Central Market.
$1 Million Theater was one of the most prestigious movie palaces. The seating capacity was 2,345 when it opened in 1918. 1923, Benjamin played here 6 months. Here at 3rd and Broadway, the Mesa Theater was located at 127 Broadway, and it has since been demolished. Now, again, the $1 Million Theater movie palace, which was located at 307 South Broadway, was built by SID GRAUMAN and opened in 1918. The theater was also designed by architects Albert C. Martin and William Lee Willett, with a fannical facade in the CHUMIQUERES Shabaki style. After more than 30 years of the city's most prestigious first run.
Also the Ira Yellen Square.
Movie palace at the $1 Million Theater presented Spanish language films and variety shows from 1950 until the late 1980s. The theater had a seating of 2,345 when it opened in 1918. In 1925, voters were played here for 6 months while at the $1 Million Theater.
The ticket booth is still there. This was the $1 Million Theater. This is the $1 Million Theater, GRAUMAN's $1 Million Theater, in a city that makes landmarks out of coffee shop, 2 truly veritable landmarks, opened within a year of each other during World War I, still stands, still drive, and still draw applause. Before the Sunset Strip, there was Broadway downtown. Los Angeles' jazziest entertainment district was a bustling thoroughfare with bright lights in line with glitzy motion picture and vaudeville palaces. And at the top of the street, the $1 Million Theater, named for its exuberant price tag. In 1917, showman SID GRAUMAN commissioned architect Albert C. Martin Sr. to design a theater for the ground floor of what would become the Edison Building, a theater worthy of city that was film capital of the world. Grand opening SID GRAUMAN $1 Million Theater, 1918. Actor Jack Nixon's private eye, J.J. Guts in Chinatown, 1974. William Mulholland, Chief Engineer of the Bureau of Waterworks and Supply Company. $1 Million Theater. When the $1 Million Theater opened on February 1st, 1918, it was hailed as one of the first great motion Palaces, a model of future sister theater at Egyptian Papal Chinese style Salisbury, picture of Lily gives Charlie Chaplin walk under its ornament. A terracotta arch to attend opening night premieres of the Max Sennett film The Silent Man. Its success was instant indoor was inclusive. After our screenings, Grauman entertained his private guests, among them Chaplin, Gloria Swanson, comedian Harold Lloyd. Water Wars and Latin Stars. After Edison moved to different quarters, a dozen years later, several of the building's dozen floors were leased by Metropolitan Water District and a boardroom in the city Department of Water and Power. Legendary engineer William Muhammad worked with his sometimes rivals in the region's water wars to bring water to the city. By the late 1930s, movies were hugely popular, but movie palaces have become more common and less ornate. More than 4 decades, beginning in 1939, the theater began showing its television films and providing stage as Star Wars and Latin American drama stars. Charlotte Vincent Fernandez and Laura Beltram among them performed over the years. The Star Wars reflect their first outing. Let's see the performance among the Mexican screen idol Jorge Marquez in 1954. He prepared for a week-long engagement at the theater. He died. Hundreds of disbelieving fans showed up at the $1 million theater, hoping to fear that it wasn't true. Charlie Chaplin married Pickford circa 1920. The saga of Grand Central Market, but even as the theater struggled, it began. Next door neighbor, the Grand Central Market thrived in 1898. Homer Laughlin Sr., a Civil War veteran who made his fortune manufacturing fine dinnerware and carried his name, had commissioned architect John Parkinson to build the city's reinforced steel, truly fireproof 6-story building that housed Geltrude Dry Goods Company, and eventually the ground floor was extended to the Hill Street, and 2 stories added overhead of the Central Library took up residence for 2 years. By 1980, Culture Store had moved, and the City Appearance Department Store set up shop. Many entrepreneurs from Seattle had ideals on the Chester A. Gross Courtney Laughlin heir to open a huge ground floor food hall. So in 1917, the City of Paris moved out of the Grand Central Market, was open for business, beginning to gain popularity, and the only move to rival the twin building parking and flower shop, Grand Central Market. Grand Central Market circa 1940. The theater was purchased in 1980s by Ira Yellen, which is the reason this is Ira Yellen Square, a lawyer turned developer, which was a penchant for urban preservation, who had then restored the community redevelopment agency's assisted private funds, staging ground of revival of downtown residential shopping district. This is $1 million theater right here. Theater from the other side. See, this was the hub of Hollywood.